Okay, I'd like to call to order the April 18th meeting of the Goodyear Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. All members of the commission except for Commissioner Bay are present. And next order of business is approval of the minutes for the special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission held on April 4th, 2007. Could I have a motion to approve that, please?
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the April 4th, 2007 meeting.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Loretano and a second from Commissioner Lax. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Public comments. These are public comment cards. They were out on the podium outside the front door. If you would like to speak on any item that's on the agenda other than being an applicant, would you please fill out one of these and give it to the clerk of the commission? When we open the public hearing, we will call. Right now I have one comment card, but if you do want to speak, we will recognize you. If you don't, but for our records, it's easier if we have the card. All right. Disclosure of ex parte communications. All right, well, this commissioner unfortunately has to say that he had ex parte communications with a softball on Friday, and he has two black eyes, and they look a lot better than they did last Saturday. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. We have two items on the consent agenda, and the commission may, by a single consent motion, approve any number of applications where the commission staff and applicant are in agreement, where there is an invitation by the chairman to do so, which is I. Therefore, case 06-350-0008, Canyon Trails Town Center, Anchor C, special use permit, applicant Ralph Pugh. The recommendation is that this case be continued to the May 16th Planning Commission meeting, and case number 06200-00017, Savannah Heights rezone, applicant is Keystone American Homes, and the recommendation is that the public hearing for this case be continued to the May 16th Planning Commission meeting. I'd like a motion. Does anybody want to have any item pulled from the consent agenda? Any commission members? Any members of the public? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent?
Approve the consent agenda. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Williams and a second from Vice Chair DeBroker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Old business. Our first case will be case number 06-200-00024, the neighbor office building rezone. A public hearing to consider a request to rezone 2.2 acres generally located at the northwest corner of 161st Avenue and Van Buren Road from the Agricultural Urban District, AU, to the Commercial Office District. The applicant is Mr. Verl Neighbor, and I'm going to open the public hearing, and I will take staff comments at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, this is a request by Mr. Verl Neighbor to rezone approximately 2.02 acres from the Agricultural Urban Zoning District to the Commercial Office Zoning District. This development is known as the Neighbor Office Building. It is located at the northwest corner of 161st Avenue and Van Buren Road. I just would like to point out the surrounding areas. This is the Wildflower Residential Development to the south here. This is the existing Estrella Community Church, which is already built. To the west here, we have the St. Thomas Lutheran Church. The acreage that you see directly behind the proposed office building is Mr. Verl Neighbor's personal home that he's going to be building there. And then the Wade Acres, or what was formerly known as, I believe, the Wade Acres, is the residential development to the north there. The general plan designates this area as public, quasi-public, which denotes areas planned for churches, schools, special use parks, cemeteries, wastewater treatment plants, as well as municipal and other utility facilities. The applicant is requesting a commercial office, which, if you listed on page 4 of your staff reports, let's go through a primary list of approved uses and those listed with a use permit. And as noted in their offices for professional, administrative, financial institutions, including drive-through windows, medical offices, and churches are approved. With a use permit, which would come back before this board, would be a veterinary office, a daycare, or a fine arts facility. We had several different, back up and say, I have a conceptual site plan for you here. We had a neighborhood meeting on April 4th at the St. Thomas Church, and we had a very good community turnout from the folks at Wade Acres, and even a couple of folks who don't reside there anymore. Clearly a quaint little community. And they had serious concerns about their rural lifestyle and maintaining that. They were adamantly opposed to any access of this development off of 161st Avenue. They were clearly concerned about future uses that could happen in the commercial zoning district, or the commercial office zoning district, and the ability for someone to come back in down the road. And two other things that were really pertinent were that they really felt like they needed to be involved in the site plan process, so that they had some say in what was going to go there, and then they were concerned about maintaining the neighborhood feel within this community. So what we did was we went back to the drawing board. The original site plan that we had indicated access off of 161st Avenue, which, let's open that up. Do I have that fully on board there? This new conceptual site plan and stipulation number 8 indicates that there will be no access off of 164th Avenue, which is right along here. We've moved the main entrance off of Van Buren right in the center, and there will be a shared access on 161st Lane here with the St. Thomas Church. We've also added stipulations number 24 and 25 in your staff report, which will require the developer, the applicant, Mr. Neighbors, to maintain a neighborhood feel with this, and we will stipulate to that. We will see this again in the site plan process, and we've also added a stipulation that requires Mr. Neighbor to share the elevations that will be submitted with the site plan with the Wade Acres Advisory Committee. We will visit with the neighbors. We will ask them to form a small committee. We will present this to them, and then we will let them take it back to them, and then we will meet with them again. Staff is recommending approval of this rezone application, subject to the stipulations that you have contained in front of you. That concludes my presentation this evening. Mr. Verl Neighbor is available for any questions as well as I am too, sir.
Okay. Would you let the record know that Commissioner Bay has arrived? And questions of staff? Mr. Williams?
This show around the perimeter, landscape retention, is that going to be more than just retention drainage areas? Are going to be bushes, shrubs, trees?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Williams, if I understood the question correctly, yes, there are certain landscape requirements with regards to the commercial adjacent to the residential. There are specific requirements in that landscaping. I can't quote it off the book for you right now, but and there are requirements within the landscaping out front at Hill. So yeah, it will be retention, but it won't be
Buffering
just.
items.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Loretano?
Yes, with stipulation number 24, does that mean we're going to get to see the elevations again, or you all just are going to look at them and go through that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Loretano, no, we will see those within, it's an administrative approval on the site plan process. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to ask the neighbors of Wade Acres, the community members, to form this advisory group, in which case, once we have those submitted to them, we will then take those to the neighbors so they can see what, so that they have a hand in the process and they can comment and review on the elevations that will be approved in that area.
So this isn't necessarily what it's going to look like here.
Oh, no, ma'am. And
I
would.
don't like that, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Mr. Neighbor is he's not a real estate investor. He's not a a developer. He's a homeowner that owned this land. So it's he will be required to engineer that. He will have to go out and hire an engineering firm, and we will see a quality product when he brings that back in.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? I have a couple of questions for you, Rick. The Wade Acres Advisory Committee, is this an HOA in existence, or is this a committee that needs to be formed?
Mr. Chairman, it's a committee that needs to be formed, sir.
Okay. And then my second question is, you showed us a general plan. Is that the current general plan from the 2003 update?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I took this off our GIS database this afternoon, and it's a little bit confusing. This area denotated right in here actually calls for an open space corridor, which, as we were out there today, the public, quasi-public with the churches on both sides actually are adjacent to Van Buren Road. It's my belief or my interpretation that years ago when this was implemented that there was may have been some form of drainage canal or something that was going to come through there. Clearly what's happening out there today does not reflect what we see here, with the exception of this blue area that you see here, which is denoted as the public, quasi-public. Technically, with regards to where it sits on the map, this is the proposed site, but this is basically half to three-quarters of Wade Acres, and it is designated as the public, quasi-public on the city's general plan.
Okay. That just strikes me as being real old, Rick. That was why I was asking. It doesn't look like what I remember the 2003 update to be, and I'm just, that was why I questioned it. All right. Any other questions of staff? Is the applicant here, and would the applicant like to speak? Please come to the podium and identify yourself. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm Verl Neighbor, and I'm the owner of the property, and my wife, Clara, is here with me this evening, and we plan on building our home right to the north of this site. We want this property, this commercial office complex, to be very attractive. This is something that we have found, and we'd like this kind of an elevation, these kind of colors, nice looking landscaping, something that will enhance not only our property but the whole Wade Acres. And so it will, and I can appreciate that, Commissioner Sherry, that The other wasn't as nice as it maybe could be. And we want something that will have low usage in the evenings, mainly in the daytime, and low usage then, something with low traffic. And we're very pleased that the ingress and egress will be onto Van Buren and not on 161st Avenue, because that would not be good for the neighborhood. And do you have any other questions or any questions?
Does the commissioners have questions of the applicant? Mr. Williams?
Mr. Neighbor, your home site on the north of the property, how large a plot of land will that be?
Could you turn that
Could
upside? Could
you
you
flip
turn
that upside down,
Yeah.
please?
This upside down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go, there we go.
Thank
Yes. We will have our home will be on 1.6 acres, and it'll set approximately right in here. We're going to have a nice U drive, and it'll be a beautiful home in there.
Thank you.
Questions over here? Mr. Commissioner Lack?
I just have a comment, not necessarily a question, but I mean, as I look at the map, I see residential behind, residential across the street, church on either side. And it just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, and I am concerned, that putting an office building just may not fit in this site, and so I am curious as to or I was hoping perhaps for a little bit more detail about what you'd envision going into this site, and how it will sort of integrate with the current residential feel of the area.
Yeah, I'll attempt to answer that, and hopefully I will, Commissioner Lex. We want something that looks that will blend in with the community, will look residential, and it will be a commercial office, like a doctor's office, something like that. Could be a lawyer, accountant's offices, something, it'll be professional offices. And what led up to this, after I purchased this property with the intent of building to the north and then selling the lots off to the south, I found that residential just does not fit along Van Buren, and I was advised that by many different professionals. And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "All along there is in essence commercial with the church and everything else." And so that's what led up to this and looking at it. At first, I had not planned on making it commercial, and I even put underground irrigation and laser leveled those lots, these in the front here, with the idea of making those residential, because there is a home there. And then I looked at changing the home into a commercial office and found out that that wouldn't work. It'd be way too expensive. So after going back and forth, I don't know how many times with the city to do this correctly, at least a dozen meetings, that's where we ended up to where we are today. And we feel very good about it, and feel it does fit in with the neighborhood, and that it will make for an excellent office. It's on Van Buren, and it's all commercial right along and through that whole strip along there.
Thank you.
Did that answer the question, Commissioner Long?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
You had talked about the building a home on the north parcel, the north two parcels. Is your intention to keep, that's more than 1.6 acres, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So are you,
I'm splitting, I'm gonna make a pasture out of this, there's 2 lots there.
right,
One's about an acre and a third, and the other one's 1.6. And we're going to be building on the one that's a 1.6
okay.
acres there.
And the other one?
And the other one, for now, I'm going to put it into pasture and just see. Maybe one of my children will want to build out there by us or something like that someday.
Okay. Thank you.
I keep the acreages up nice and keep the weeds under control and so forth.
Okay. Commissioner Day?
I'm sorry. First of all, I want to apologize to the commission and to the citizens for my tardiness. I'll try to do better about having to work for a living. But the only question I really had, honestly, was since you're going to have 2 lots abutting one another behind the commercial property, will there be access to the other lot?
Oh, yes.
Should you decide to?
That's a great question, Commissioner. The line actually runs east and west, and so the access, ingress, and egress will be off of 161st Avenue for each of those lots.
Okay, so it won't be landlocked?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
no. Good
Thank
question.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, what's
Mr. Williams?
161st Lane, what is, I mean, that's like a gravel road that goes a little way into the property now.
Right.
Is that going to change? Is that going to remain
Yes.
like that?
I have an agreement, a signed agreement, Commissioner, with St. Thomas Ministries that I will be improving this lane right along here on that whole west side, and that's part of our agreement that I will do that for St. Thomas Ministries.
So
being
you will
able to
construct
utilize
a street at city standards
That's correct.
through to the end of your property, so you can have egress and ingress out.
That
and
is
they
correct.
And they will have an easement to use that. Is that correct? Is
That's
that what I
correct.
understand?
Chairman
Okay.
Kelsey.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, I have one comment card, Mr. Vernon K. Rogers. Could you pass that down to the clerk, please? Please come up and state your name and address.
Vernon K. Rogers, 540 North, 161st Avenue, Goodyear. My main concerns is, he says he's not a real estate developer. The first thing he did was he bought that property, and he bought the property, another house right beside it, and he peeled off acres, a part of the acre off of it, so he could have different lots in there. It tells me that he is a real estate developer. He says that's commercial property. It's not. Churches are not commercial property. You know, and that's what's on both sides. They're not commercial. It's still residential area. It's agriculture residential area. Then I went to the meeting and I was told whether, and I've got a whole bunch of signatures. I got 90% of the neighborhood saying they was against this, and I was told it doesn't matter. It's a done deal. And that kind of upset me. How did they make a rezone? It's a done deal when we go to just a hearing.
It's not a done deal.
Well, I was told that, and we was told that. And so I got up and left the meeting. I said, why are you wasting my time if you're arguing that it's a done deal? And he says that it's not good for residential area. 2 blocks away from there, they're building residential homes right now along Van Buren. So you can't tell me that it couldn't be, homes like we got. We're losing our wide open spaces. I bought a big, huge, big investment there. I got a lot of acres there. Everybody's got 2 acres. It's a nice area right in there. It's a dead-end street, and we would like to keep it looking like a residential area and keep it a residential area. Thank you for your
Okay,
consideration.
thank you. Does anybody else like to speak on this case? Okay, I'd like to enter into the record a petition that was given to me concerning this case, and I'll pass that down to the clerk. And at this point in time, I would like to ask for commission action, and then we'll have commission discussion. Can I get a motion, please?
Just before you, could you tell us a little bit about the petition? I don't know what it said.
Do you want to read it into the record, maybe?
Fine, I'll read it into the record.
There you go.
We, the undersigned residents of the affected area, wish to manifest our disapproval of changing of the zoning from agricultural urban to commercial. While the area involved only affects 2.2 acres, the end result would lead to rezoning the surrounding neighborhood to a later date. It would establish a precedent for smaller acres to do the same. The zoning sign is placed north on 161st Avenue, not on the 22.2 acres to be rezoned. Mr. Neighbors knew that when he purchased the property that was sectioned off in 1 to 2 acre lots. The house on 161st Avenue is on the corner of 161st Avenue in West Van Buren, and the reference 2.2 acres is west of the house and runs to the property line. If this request for rezoning change is approved, it will affect all the surrounding properties by lowering the property values. Mr. Neighbors could build a residence on the 2.2 acres and not disturb the original neighborhood. But this neighborhood is composed of acreage and is quiet and crime-free environment. Let's keep it that way. And it's signed by about 12 to 15 people.
Thank you.
Okay, now I will take recommendations from the commission, and we will have our discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of case number 06-200-00024.
Okay, I have a motion. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
A motion from Commissioner Lax and a second from Commissioner Loretano. It's now open for commission discussion. Mr. Williams?
What is west of Sarville Avenue on the north side of Van Buren? This looks like a field on this. It's just a little strip on the west side of this.
We're talking, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Williams, we're talking west of Saraville on the corner there? Is that?
Yes, west of the northwest corner of Saraville and.
This right here, sir.
Yes.
That is it's commercial zone C2. We just had a pre-application meeting on it a couple of weeks ago. The exact size of the acreage escapes me, so. But the northwest corner is, that is commercial, zone commercial, sir.
Thank you.
Rick, while you're there, isn't the triangular piece to the west?
This, sir?
Yes, isn't that zoned for a church? Because I thought we did that like a couple of years ago.
Mr. Chairman, there is clearly church activity going on there. I know that there are proposed developments going on. I might ask Bob for a little more, Mr. Coons, for a little more insight on that. I haven't handled anything specifically in that area.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if this is working one way or the other.
Betty, can you?
Turn it off.
I think you turned it off, Bob.
He's got it. Now it's
Yeah,
off.
now it's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try this then.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, along Saraville, there north of Van Buren, the triangle piece you're talking about, I don't believe they have any activity on that, but north of that triangle, there's a parcel for the Jehovah's Witness Church. North of that parcel is a parcel where the Rock of Refuge Church was going to go but has not been built. And then north of that was the Christ Presbyterian Church, which I believe is probably getting close to under construction.
Okay. Thank you. Any other commission comments from this side? Commission comments from this side?
Just one comment, if you don't mind. I noticed that we have a stipulation 25 that asks that the property develop under a residential scale, and I personally believe that that's in keeping with the neighborhood, and I think I'll be in support of this.
Any other comments? Okay, I too strongly endorse the stipulation number 25, and I would urge while this would be administratively site plan review, I would urge staff to ensure that the Wade Acres Advisory Committee, which is yet to be formed, gets to see the elevations when they are professionally rendered and has a lot of input in this. The other thing I want to make sure that the area residents do understand is that while the commission thinks that Van Buren is more of a commercial avenue and a small business office in and amongst churches is an appropriate use of the land, the commission is not endorsing a two-story office building. The commission is not endorsing any additional commercial endeavors on the lots behind this area. So while we may think, and I'm sensing that this is the way the commission is going, I just want you to know that the area, your acreage of 1 acre and 2 acre lots, your lifestyle, this will protect it even more than any other type of commercial area. That, if you don't, obviously some of you don't agree, and I would strongly urge you when this comes up at the city council that you bring up your objections and talk to the council, and maybe they will see fit. If there's no other comments, I'm going to call for a vote.
I guess I just would make one more comment. I understand the concern, but I do, having been out through the area and understanding that the area west of Saraville is Zone C2, I would find it very difficult myself to purchase a residential property on one of those two lots right on Van Buren, and the applicant does seem to indicate that he intends to buffer it from the neighborhood, and I guess I probably will vote in favor, and just ask you again to work with your neighbors and properly buffer it, and the fact, I guess, that your own home is going to be part of the buffer zone is a very strong point. Thank you.
Any other comments? I will call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
I have 2 nay votes, Ms. Loretano and Commissioner Lax, is that correct?
Yes.
And I have 4 aye votes, so the motion passes 4-2. Thank you. Close that public hearing. Okay, new business. Case 06-200-0025, the Tang property rezone, a public hearing to request a rezone of approximately 18.2 acres, generally located at the southwest corner of Bullard Avenue and McDowell Road, from the Agricultural District, AG District, to the General Commercial C2 District. The applicant is the City of Goodyear on behalf of the I-10 Bullard Properties. And I will open the public hearing, and I will ask for the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Commission members. This is a rezoning for 18.2 acres located at the southwest corner of Bullard and McDowell. This is the property right here. To the north and west, we have the Goodyear Plan Regional Center, which to the north will be located the Estrella Falls Regional Shopping Center. To the south, we have I-10 and then the Snyder's facility. To the east, across Bullard, is the At-Home District in the Palm Valley PAD. This rezoning is going from agricultural to our general commercial C2 zoning district. The purpose of this rezoning is by an approved development agreement that the city has with the property owner, which was done back in November. That development development agreement required the city, in exchange for regional right-of-way, to process this rezoning application. Thus the reason that it's before the commission tonight. The property will develop according to our C2 zoning standards. As of yet, there are no specific development plans for the property. There is no site plan or anything that has been submitted to the city at this time. However, future development of the property will require site plan approval through the city. Staff does find that this request for C2 zoning on this parcel is consistent with the general plan, and we are recommending approval subject to 12 stipulations in the staff report. One modification to stipulation number 7. At the request of the applicant, staff would like this stipulation to read, "The developer shall be responsible for the construction of all adjacent arterial half-street improvements not constructed by the improvement district at the time of the development of the subject property." So basically, we're adding half prior to street, just to clarify that that's half-street improvements that the city will require of the developer at that time. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Staff and Mr. Paul Gilbert are available for questions.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, would you like to make a presentation or some comments?
I would, thank you. For your record, the name is Paul Gilbert, 4800 North Scottsdale Road. Just wanted to let Mr. Coons know he didn't think I'd read the stipulations that carefully, but I did. Had us improving both sides of the street there, but we're happy to have that resolved. Since I'm not technically the applicant, I did negotiate the development agreement with the city representing this property owner, and this was part of that agreement. So I have nothing further to say except, Mr. Chairman, I have sympathy for your position. About 14 years ago, when my oldest son was 16, we had a fathers and sons football game every Saturday afternoon. My son was very contumacious and cocky, and I had 3 steps on him. I was in the football game. I was watching the ball over my shoulder, and just so happy because I was going to turn and do it in his face as I scored the touchdown. I forgot there at the playing field there was the baseball backstop, and I ran right into it. It knocked me right out. My 7-year-old daughter and her neighbor friend were on the swings there at the playground watching it. They came running over and laying on the ground completely unconscious, and the neighbor friend says to my daughter in a very laconic way, "Yep, he's dead." About that time I woke up and I said, "Lizzie, your dad's okay." She said, "Dad, you're always trying to make me feel good. I know you're dead." So I got 2 black eyes clear down to here from that. So I have sympathy. Pardon the apocryphal story that had nothing to do with the case. But
I appreciate your empathy, Mr. Gilbert, and especially those $5 words. Okay, we've heard from the applicant, and we've heard from we've heard from staff. Does anybody in the public would like to speak to this case? If not, I will take a motion from the commission concerning this case.
I will move to approve case number 06200-00025, request by the City of Goodyear to rezone approximately 18.2 acres on the southwest corner of McDowell and Boulard.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion from Commissioner Williams, second from Commissioner Bay. Commission comments.
A question. Steve or Mr. Gilbert. Bullard Interchange is going to happen. And where is it going to go on this property?
I should know the answer to that because I negotiated this development agreement, but that was 6 months ago, and I frankly don't recall. if it goes anywhere, it goes right at the far end. It doesn't go at the immediate corner. I do remember that.
I noticed the little triangulated piece of property that's here. Is that going to become the access to I-10? Will that go, in other words, this triangulated piece, will that be the access to I-10 off of Bullard? Westbound?
Yeah, that would be very logical, but I can't unequivocally tell you that's the case. I'll be glad to follow up after the hearing. It's in my file, and I just didn't bring it this evening. Sorry.
Any other questions for, I have a question, and really it's a follow-up on what Commissioner Broker asked. But when I was looking at this case, and I was thinking back about 6-8 months ago when the Goodyear PRC, who are your adjacent property owners, came to us and asked for a sign permit, and they stated that they had the highway frontage, and therefore they were allowed to build the freeway pylon signs. From the looks of the property, they do not have the highway frontage, and you do. And so I guess I would, do you have plans on developing a pylon sign? Or are you in negotiation with them to transfer your rights, or what are we doing for the city? Because it sounds like we have a little conundrum here. That was my $5
Nice word.
Thank you.
It is very interesting, Mr. Chairman, that you should bring that up, because frankly, as part of the negotiations, I tried to get permission for a billboard as part of the development agreement on this property and didn't get to first base. But we do have the frontage, and there would be an opportunity for a pylon sign there, but only if and when we knew who was going to go there and who the developer is going to be. But we do have frontage, that's correct.
That is correct. I would really ask staff to think, to relook at that case on the freeway pylon side, especially before this comes to council, because I think that's going to be an issue with some of our city council people. I just had to bring it up.
Just a comment, Chairman Joseph. Would then, in fact, with this action, not provide for this to be conveyed to the city for the frontage of the freeway, and then, as such, making the actual frontage the property that really is the Goodyear PRC, as the northernmost line would indicate? And that's kind of like what my question is as a follow-up, because there is obviously some conveyance associated with this, and I'm assuming that conveyance would be that triangular piece that's running along the freeway frontage.
Correct. There is. We're conveying frontage for the trail that goes through there. We're conveying frontage for the right-of-way, and all that was part of the development agreement. But my memory is we still had visibility, at least, and adjacency to the
along that extended triangle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you'd still have that sliver.
That's my memory.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just
no.
That's okay.
Should have brought my file.
This is not something that we. I think. I'm going to ask Commissioner Bay to beg my indulgence, but I don't think that this is something that we need to delve into. But I think we wanted to bring up the question so that you would be prepared when it comes to council, because I think they will want to delve into it. Or at least someone will bring it up and say, what about this? And when it does come to council.
And I will be well prepared to address it then. I'm sorry I'm not now.
Yeah.
The conundrum will be discussed.
Okay.
So.
And Steve, I think we ought to notify Westcor that there is an issue.
Mr. Chairman, along with the applicant, prior to going to council, staff will do its work too, researching the property boundaries and the parcel in that sliver, as well as going back to the previous case with Globe Westcor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No other comments? I'm going to close this
This is going to
public.
be an easy hearing tonight.
You're ahead, Mr. Gilbert. Scored the touchdown, and you're alive.
And I held on to the ball, too, I forgot.
Right. All right, I will close the public hearing and ask for commission action.
I move that we approve case number 06-200-00025, the 18.2 acres located at southwest corner of McDowell Road and Bullard with the stipulations and the change to stipulations set.
Lorentano, I think Mr. Commissioner Williams already has.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did we do that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
we
you're
did.
right,
This
we're
was
right.
just-
Okay, so now,
We're discussing again, I withdraw that.
that's okay. It's noted. All right, let's call for a vote of the commission. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. This one's I am going to, I missed one thing on, I'm going back to the old case, the neighbor office building rezone case for a minute. Case 06-200-00024. And I would like to ask Commissioner Lax and Commissioner Laurentano to please state for the record the reason for their nay votes.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
My reason for voting no was I just didn't feel it fit with that area with the two churches. The fact he's building a residential house right behind it, it seems like it's going to be all surrounded by residential. And it just looked like it was just a mini mart kind of thing, just plopped right in there. It was so small, but it was just going to like plop in there, and it just didn't feel right to me.
Thank you. Mr. Lax?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I too do not believe that, or I would have to disagree with you and think that it's not necessarily an appropriate use for the site. It just as I said during the meeting or during the case, that it just stuck out like a sore thumb. Just which one of these is not like the other, and I didn't think it added anything to the neighborhood and the area.
Great. Thank you very much. Just for a point of order, if any commissioner does vote nay, we would like some vocal reason on the record, and I apologize for forgetting to ask for that. Okay, moving on to the next case, case 07-350-0002, wireless communication facility special use permit. I'm going to open the public hearing, and Mr. O'Grady for Starbridge Communication is the applicant, and Mr. Coons is going to make the staff presentation.
Chairman, members of the commission, Sprint has submitted an application for a special use permit to allow a wireless communication facility to be located within the northern area of the Estrella Mountain Regional Park. This also includes a request for a waiver of the height limitation to allow a height of 65 feet. The communication facility will be a steel monopole at a height of 65 feet. There's a total of 6 antennas to be attached to the pole at the 63-foot level. The location of the monopole would be approximately 950 feet south of Vineyard Avenue and just east of Golf Course Drive. A couple of graphics. This is an overview of the Estrella Mountain Golf Course, Estrella Road, and Vineyard. And going in a little bit closer, this is the location of the maintenance yard for the golf course. The red dot area is where the monopole will be located. This is Vineyard Avenue and Golf Course Road. So this is approximately 970 feet, or 750 feet from Vineyard to the location of the monopole. The mechanical equipment for the wireless communication facility will require approximately one visit per month, and as with other wireless communication facilities, this is an unmanned site. The base of the monopole and the maintenance yard will be enclosed by an 8-foot masonry wall with a metal access gate. I want to correct one typo within our staff report. The site will be located within a new CMU wall enclosure. The staff report said it's existing. It's actually going to be, as noted on the site plan, it'll be enclosed by a new wall. Given that the monopole is be located in a vast open space area with no residential areas within a measurable distance, staff believes the monopole is appropriate and will help achieve the goal of providing enhanced call reliability for Sprint customers in the area. Staff is recommending approval subject to stipulations. One of the stipulations would allow for future co-location of other wireless communications facilities on the monopole. One final note, during the staff discussions with the applicant on this, we did discuss them, other alternatives to constructing a steel monopole, such as the date palms that you've seen or other ones that might be less visually intrusive than a steel monopole. Collectively, we concluded that actually putting up in this location, for example, a date palm look, would actually be no more noticeable because there's no other date palms, no other trees of any significant height in the area, and that it would not really serve any purpose to do a stealth or other type of facility, and that the monopole in this location would be appropriate. If you did also do a date palm type look, as we've done in others, it would preclude future co-location because those really can only handle one provider. This steel monopole is proposed with future co-location of two, maybe other three providers, will limit the number of requests for other facilities in the general area. So that concludes my remarks. Again, staff's recommending approval subject to the stipulations.
Okay, questions for staff? Commissioner Loretano?
I guess the mono sorora was out of the question, huh?
It's a tall saguaro.
Can they paint it or something so it's not steel gray and kind of blends in a little with the desert? I don't know if that's a stupid question or, but
We asked the applicant. I think that's an applicant question.
I think you're right. And I will reserve that for the applicant.
Would the applicant, does anybody else have a question for staff, or are we, because some of us have applicant questions. So.
Just a little point, under existing land uses, says to the east is the Estrella Mountain Regional Park Golf Course. I think east and west are kind of reversed there. I think, isn't the golf course to the west, and the open space to the east?
You're correct.
Thank you.
Our error. And Mr. Chairman, if I can, back to the last question from Commissioner Loretano, please ask the applicant that if the commission desires to add, for clarity, a stipulation relative to painting the monopole to blend in with the surrounding environment, that's certainly within your purview to do so.
The applicant? And please state your name and address for the record. Or
Mike O'Grady. I'm with Starbridge Communications, 2800 North Central Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm representing Sprint PCS.
Great. Could you answer Commissioner Loretano's question?
Yeah, we can definitely paint it if you decide you want to paint it. Or we can paint it to match. It's just, what do you want to match, though? Typically, there are some high, I can't remember the SRP or APS, but some high power lines going on there. It's more likely to blend in with those than, I've seen them painted sky blue, and it's, personally, I think it makes it look worse.
I was thinking more of a beigey color to blend into the mountains.
They can be painted, though, to answer your question, yes.
Okay, I have a question. Co-location, in the site plan and in the antenna array, which is up on the screen, there is a secondary array at about the 58, 59-foot height. My question is, how many carriers can you locate on this pole at its full capacity?
Well, that would depend on the different carriers' requirements. They may need, we could probably fit 3 easily, possibly 4, if someone only needed a very low, 30-foot rad center on there.
Okay, so in other words, you could they would be antenna array, a third antenna array,
yeah,
and possibly even a fourth antenna.
A fourth
array.
would be pushing it at 65
okay, so
feet. Even
3
3 would probably be the max you'd want to do on that.
Okay.
Some would have to only require a very low rad center for their antennas for the fourth.
Do you, at this point in time, you're building your CMU wall and the space that you're going to lease will have enough equipment for two vendors or service providers, or would there actually be enough room for all three in that
CMU
enclosure?
wall is designed for 2 carriers.
Okay.
Sprint's only going to use half of it. The other half's open for whoever comes along next.
And wants to
If a
buy.
3rd carrier came along, it's also designed that they could go on the outside of that wall easily.
Got it.
And still use the same pole.
Okay.
We also attached some storage for the Parks Department. They own some bins there to store gravel and that kind of thing, which we were doing.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody from the public like to speak? Any other questions for the applicant? I'm sorry. Kind of got that in reverse order. All right. I will take,
If I can, somebody asked about a Saguaro.
No,
Well, we did actually present that to them, but in order to get the height, because 65-foot saguaro would not work, we wanted to put it up on the mountain, and I think the manager of the park said over her dead body, so
we don't want that.
That wasn't going to happen. So she didn't want anybody touching the mountain. So, but we did throw that out there.
I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
Recommend approval of case 07-350-00002, wireless communication facility special use permit with attached stipulations.
I have a motion. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, a motion from Commissioner DeBroca and a second from Commissioner Locke. Okay, commission comments. Ms. Loretano, do you want to recommend the staff that we investigate painting this to a more
Can they look
camouflage color, or at least,
Can they look at that? Can you guys look into that? Would that be okay? Or at least the wall and see how it works?
okay, great, thank you. Any other comments or recommendations for staff? Okay, I have one for staff. If this facility can only handle 2 and maximum of 3, I would at least want it on the record that that we would ask staff to reconsider the stipulation of quarter-mile distance from a second cellular tower, so that we might have a grouping of the towers in this area versus having them scattered all over the beautiful, pristine desert.
Mr. Chairman, staff would concur and appreciate you putting that on the record, for future staff use and consider in the future years. We would tend to agree. There's nothing formally that you need to do other than place it on the record. The ordinance provides you, if a future request came in, the commission has the flexibility to approve it, even though it's less than a quarter mile. And you noted that your concerns that this would be a good location for another one.
Fine, thank you very much. Hearing no further comments, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it, 5-1. Commissioner Bay, would you please voice your reason for?
I really
your
just
vote?
wanted to go on the record for saying nay. The real reason is I think we're setting precedents here. This is open space, and I'm not really particularly fond of having a bare cellular tower out there. There's a golf course there, and again, it will detract from the open space, so I'm not in favor of this.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this is approved at a 5-1 vote. Oops, I threw my agenda away.
I guess that means we're done.
No. One last case. Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing for case 07-350-00001, Goodyear RV and Boat Storage Special Use Permit. Public hearing, and the application is Jared Fours, and I will take the staff report at this time.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, this is a request for a special use permit to allow RV and boat storage on a 5-acre parcel, expanding the existing Goodyear self-storage business. This is located along the east side of Litchfield Road, north of MC 85. The area outlined in yellow is the existing Goodyear self-storage, which is self-storage as well as open recreational vehicle and boat storage. And then this request is the filled in yellow area to expand the business to provide RV and boat storage. The proposal would result in approximately 196 spaces for RV and boat storage. A 10-foot masonry wall would be constructed around the facility. Particularly noted that the 10-foot wall will be built along the east side, separating the RV and boat storage from the Hummingbird Manufacturing Housing Community Mobile Home Park. The existing wood fencing along the mobile home park adjacent to the site is in very poor condition, several places. The applicants worked with the owner of the Hummingbird property, and the applicant proposes to remove the existing wood fence and construct a 10-foot masonry wall along the common property line. I believe also for his own security, as well as obviously it's going to improve the overall common property line between the two uses. And the applicant has included in your packet a letter from the Hummingbird Mobile Home Park indicating their approval for that 10-foot wall. Staff has reviewed the proposed use and the conceptual site plan associated with the use permit application and recommends approval of the application subject to the stipulations included in the report. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? I have one. Along MC-85, otherwise known as Main Street, there's a property that kind of is outlined in blue, and then there's a triangle if you move up along North Litchfield Road, and then there's a small triangular property right there. Yep, that's it. Is that part of the property that's on MC-85, or is that just a little out parcel, or what? I'm just kind of curious to know what that is.
Mr. Chairman, it would appear from the aerial photo that's a part of that property that has a long frontage along MC-85, and that for some reason there's a blue property line split. But from the aerial photo, it would appear to be part of that business. It's not a part of the self-storage. Maybe the applicant who's the owner, knows more about the adjacent properties.
Okay. In that case, I will invite the applicant to come up and speak, because I'm sure their commission would have a few questions also.
My name is Jared Forres. I live at 15055 North Catalina, Goodyear. And Mr. Chairman and the board, my son and I are the owners of Goodyear Self-Storage, which is serving Goodyear. And reason for this is that we built this, went through this process 3 years ago. We completed it 5 months ago. And our RV is 75% full already. The reason why is because a lot of the CC&Rs do require no parking on the streets with boats, RVs, or in their yards, because a lot of the lots are so small. So this is why we're 75% full, which is, thank God, it's great. That piece of yellow land is landlocked. The owner lives in Texas, and we notified her, the trust, about a year ago, and it's landlocked. And notice the border is the Hummingbird, which is probably the #1 crime rate in Avondale. I've talked to the owners, the managers. We had pictures that we gave the city how bad that area is. What we're purchasing right now has probably 1 ton of garbage on it. Mattresses, just everything. Even someone was living in a shed that was built on that property that abutted the fence. So this would be for a good area for Goodyear. It's in a good location. We don't have to do anything with Litchfield Street. We have our entrance, we have our lights. I don't know if you've gone by there. You noticed that 2 years ago. That was kind of a cluttered area, kind of a bad thing for Goodyear. Now you go by, you look at a nice, good-looking self-storage. We have on-site managers. They are 50 years old. They've been in the business for 12, 13 years. They're awesome. We're open 7 to 7, even a little less than that, really. And we have about an average of 2 or 3 RVs a day that go in and out. So the noise factor would be nothing. The lighting is nothing because it's all down, and it's certain for, when we have that. It's a good thing for us and a good thing for, Goodyear. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant, Ms. Loretano?
I just have a comment. I agree. I think this is something that's needed. There's more of that because of all the CCRs and all the new buildings. And from what it looks like, it'll help get rid of some of the blight on our border.
Right. I have to, and you're right. And we requested for a 10-foot wall. When we built this, my son and I are contractors, very small, just us two. We had over $175,000 worth of stolen from our construction site, and we even had a trailer with a person in it, 14 hours a day, after the crew left. Now, and I wanted to bring it up because I'm going to bring it up to the city council. I live in Pebble Creek, and I drive up here every morning and do some work. I'm kind of semi-retired. We've had a water meter stolen that the city had to replace already outside our wall. We had a backflow valve that had to be replaced that we had to pay for, which is $1,000. Now, you said where the blue speck, that's the canopy, and they build golf seating for golf tournaments all around the United States and Hawaii, which is the United States. They've had 2 meters stolen and backflow valves now within the last 3 weeks. And guy, I'm very small. We're just trying to struggle because we're 5 months late building anyway because of the city and the lights and stuff. But my gosh, this costs money. The valves might cost $200-300. But the water that's being wasted and the labor to replace this it's getting bad. So I wanted to bring it up here to be on record because I'm going to bring it to the city council and Mayor Kavanaugh and the board because you people have to start putting some pressure somewhere. We can't keep. You know what I mean? Just replacing it because it costs money. And these 2 that were taken was 2-inch valves. and the water ran for 4 hours or 5 hours because, they didn't have on-site people. It's becoming, in that area, people, this is your worst area in Goodyear. Avondale's worst area is right there because across the street from M85 is another trailer park that we had people coming from over there to try to sell drugs to our workers. Just across the street, just walked in. We kicked them out, but kind of keep this in your mind, this area, because we got to clean it up. Okay, I wanted to say something about it because it's gotten to be nasty.
Commissioner Lax?
Just to that point, this is not just a city issue, it's a statewide problem.
Right.
The legislature is currently considering a bill dealing with scrap metal, specifically, in dealing with copper, and because there are a number of property owners and construction and contractors that all are experiencing similar problems. So my suggestion to you is, in addition to talking with City Council, is perhaps contacting, your legislators and getting their support.
Right.
For the bill.
I just want to bring your attention. I read it in the paper all the time. The local paper, the
Mr.
Buckeye.
Wires
the
and
Buckeye.
Mr. Nelson.
Huh?
Mr. Wires and Mr. Nelson and Mr. Blendo. Those are your 3 representatives.
Are those the 3?
And those are the people you need. And if you call the clerk at the city office, they can give you contact information for those 3 representatives. And I would strongly urge you, as a business owner who has suffered stolen copper, to talk to these legislators.
And the city has had to replace 2 meters now with a staff of backhoe and 4 or 5 people. You know what I mean? Half a day or a day job too. So I just and it's happened twice just in that area. Walmart down the street down here, your new Walmart, had 2 stolen I think 3 weeks ago. That's right out in the public at Indian School.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Any other questions for the applicant, Mr. Williams?
The only access to this proposed expansion property is through the existing gate and through your existing Goodyear self-storage. Is that
right?
Correct?
Yes, it is.
And the only other question is, this says the hours of operation will be from 7 to 7, but doesn't the sign on your gate say must be out by 8 p.m.?
We have a control gate there that if they punch in their code, we man it 7 to 7. They can go 1 hour later, 8 o'clock to return. But that's all on camera to our live-in staff.
Okay.
You're right. It's
Just a minor point, but doesn't that make the hours of operation 8 p.m. and not 7?
You can't get in after 7.
Okay.
You can't.
You can get into, if you had a special code, which you have to sign in.
Right.
And we have a camera when you, which is kind of neat. We're the highest security. We even have that, what the county has. We have perimeter beams for alarms.
You might want to get a camera onto your valves.
$28,000 we pay for that.
They'll steal the camera.
Oh, they'll steal, guess what? They're inside.
Right, I understand. I have any other questions?
Just one comment, if you don't mind, Chairman Jefferson. I just want to say I remember when you brought this before us, and we had a lot of questions about how you were going to fit into the community and the railroad tracks and access and all of that. And I just want to say that it's a pleasure to see you return with an expansion of your project and wanting to also mitigate some of the negative effects that are occurring from our neighbors. So I just wanted to put it on record.
Oh, thank you very much.
Congratulations to your success. And
appreciate it.
Okay, I have a question, and then I also have a comment. On the new addition, well, I'll do the comment first. Several of the commissioners toured the facility today. We kind of drove through it. We're pretty impressed. Thought it looked pretty darn good. And I think there's strong support. We were very pleased. You know, it's always nice to see a business that wants to expand. Which really leads to my question. Is this going to be all open air storage, or are you going to have some covered storage available also?
Okay. We have it in, we didn't want to mention phases. I don't care for that. What we're going to do is have it open first.
Right.
And then canopied. And that's what we have in for RVs and for boats.
Okay.
The canopy. What happens when you put a canopy with a $100,000 motorhome or even a nice boat, that sun, you save about 15 degrees of direct heat on it. So it will be canopied someday.
Okay, but not, and that doesn't affect zoning or anything like that, does it? Okay,
we put it on this
on the application.
Application.
Okay, great. Any other comments? I need a motion now, right? Okay. Now I'm looking for a motion on this case, please.
I'll move we approve case 07-350-00001 Goodyear RV and boat storage special use permit.
I have a motion.
A second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Williams and a second from Commissioner Bay. Any council comments, or excuse me, commission comments? My faux pas.
Freudian slip there.
Freudian slip there. All right, in that case, I'm going to close all the public hearings, and I will ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, 6-0. Okay, next order of business is staff communications.
Two items I have. One, I want to let you know that there are no items scheduled that would require any special meeting in May. So your next regular meeting in May 16th, I believe.
Okay.
And the second item is that the council Monday night will be having on their agenda an item to appoint the vacant commission spot that vacated by
Okay. Any other comments from any of the commissioners? Oh, Ms. Secretary to the Commission.
We're going to have our new appointment on Monday. We're going to take pictures.
Okay, would you, so coat and tie that night? Or at least a coat and a nice shirt? Okay. I have a comment that I would like to make and go on record and thank Newland Communities for the belated invitation to the symphony and thank them for their consideration to the commission. Thank you. Any other business before this commission? In that case, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We're adjourned.